Now broadcasting from the EFX Sports Studio, it's ESPN EFX Sports Radio with Dr. Jeff Golini.
Well, welcome to another episode of EFX Sports Radio Show. My name is Dr. Jeff Golini, and I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Brian Andrews.
Here I am. You know what? I just realized something today. My only fault is that I just don't realize how great I really am.
Say what?
That's Muhammad Ali, man.
Oh, gotcha. I'm like, man, you must have been sipping on some Carbolin or Shock or something there, man.
Oh, I got quite a concoction I'm sipping on today, man.
Yeah, I'm always wondering what you're going to say after the opening statement.
Just keeping it real.
I'm ready to hit the click button, the censor button. So, anyhow, we've got a special guest here today, Mr. Marc Burr. Marc, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, Doc. How you doing today?
Well. Marc and I met, I guess it was about a year ago when he brought the Billings Wolves, which we're going to talk a little bit about. But I thought it'd be good just for Marc to kind of share with us. Marc, you've been an athlete. So who is Marc?
Well, I'd like to think that I'm a great guy, somebody that has a strong passion for sports, definitely developed back in Ohio. I'm from Cincinnati, so started playing high school football with the dreams of pretty much every little boy across America that, I'm going to go to the NFL, that I'm going to be the one that makes it out of the neighborhood. Obviously, those dreams get a little tougher as you get older, that you realize there's a business to everything. And high school was great, though. Was the first all-state player at Division I for our high school. Played wide receiver, broke all the city records. Had some state records that recently got broke, but went off to college, played at Urbana University, Division II school. From Urbana University, where I was an All-American wide receiver, I did get to kind of live out my dream a little bit. Got to go to camp with the Cincinnati Bengals. There's nothing that can prepare you for the NFL. There's a lot of guys out there that think they're ready for it. It's not until that first morning that you get up and you put on that helmet and you go out onto that field that you realize that, this is a different level out here, because when you're sitting out there for practice, you're thinking to yourself, I'm going to separate myself from this next guy by catching every football. There's a small problem with that. Every guy out there catches every football. So that was strike one for me.
Oh,
and then, so then my second thought was, I'm faster than everybody out here. Yeah, that didn't work out so well either, because it come to find out that, man, we're all fast. So it was a great experience at just kind of opening your eyes at seeing the difference that when you go from the college ranks where maybe you do catch the 60-yard touchdown and you outrun the defensive back, you get up to the NFL level and that defensive back is still standing in your hip, and you're like, wow, so this is different. And the quarterback's coach is saying, hey, that's being open. You got to throw him the ball right there. And it's like, wow, this guy is right here on me. And that was kind of my first two strikes. And then, your third strike is that you say, well, I'm an intelligent football player, so I'm going to learn this playbook. Everybody learns the playbook.
There went all your secrets, man.
It is. That's what it comes down to. You play wide receiver and you say, well, I'll just catch every pass. Because we've all known that guy that we go, how does he get to get on the field and he drops the ball? At an NFL practice, nobody drops the ball. You watch a game and you say, man, how'd he drop that? I'd be willing to bet you in practice all week long he didn't drop that pass. Yeah. And so that's kind of a little bit about my background with sports. So I did get to live out the dream. And obviously, I got the awards that I got to be recognized at the high school level. I got recognized at the college level. And then, of course, I got to go to camp with the Cincinnati Bengals, which was, like I said, I joke a lot about the experience, but it was a great experience. It's just,
sure.
I like to tell people that, those secrets that you think you have, you really don't. Everybody there at camp has the same mindset that I'm going to be faster, I'm going to be stronger, I'm going to be smarter. We're all the same.
I love some of these. Go ahead, Brian.
I was going to say, Marc, I guess that's what they call a reality check.
It definitely is,
I love there's been some shows they're called Inside the NFL that are about going to camp, and I think you can see that people think, oh, I'm going to just make it in the NFL and you're going to be a starter. No, there's something called camp.
Yep, and you're right, because you do, and a lot of times it's because you got to think about football. That how many conferences do we have? How many different divisions are there? So guys can be recognized at different levels, and if you're a Division II All-American, you're the best in that division, and you're the best in your conference. When you get to the NFL, though, it's pretty much the best of the best. So, the things that separated you at college, at the NFL level, it's a little bit different. And for guys who have made that journey, that's why they have such respect when you do see the guys that really dominate the NFL, because they realize, that's not as easy as that guy just made it look. We laugh, and Fox Sports does that great weekly hits kind of highlight. It's not as easy as they make that clip look.
Yeah, and they say that there's so many guys that are even in the NFL for like 5 years, and they're kind of sitting on the sidelines. So if you make it over 5 years, you may make it, and then there's some great players that come on as rookies that just kind of shine, but that's few and far. So I'm from Ohio, and we kind of hit it off, so we know what football is back there. As Mark said, every kid growing up is going to play in the NFL. That's number one. The rest of them are going to play in the NBA.
And you're right. Yeah,
there's nothing
that's
else,
how it
right?
goes. Yeah.
They all want to be LeBron James or, Cleveland is – Cincinnati's good this year, so I'm not sure who their star player is. But when you and I met, how did you get into, this whole IFL and, how did that take place?
Well, they used to have a team here in the past. The league, the indoor football league, has always wanted to have a team in Billings because it just kind of bridges the gap from the Midwest over to the West, where they have teams. And with the history of Billings already having a team, really what it came down to was, you find your supporters, your investors, and basically the IFL, because they already wanted the team here. It was a pretty easy year-long process, really. Working with the league office and getting everything set up to make sure that Billings was going to be a viable place to have a team. And then with my experience with football and then also playing some indoor football, arena football, it just kind of fell into place where it was a natural fit. As far as trying to have a guy out there talking football, obviously I'm biased, but I didn't think there'd be anybody else better than me. So
Absolutely.
As far as knowing the indoor game, the arena game, the NFL game, it kind of just, like I said, it all fell into place that I was already here in Billings. It was a great location, and, Billings is a great market to be in.
Yeah.
It really is. And like I said, the IFL was, actively pursuing to have a team here because, they have teams in South Dakota. At the time, they had a team in Wyoming. They have teams in Colorado. They have teams in the state of Washington. So Montana was just kind of that step that they needed to kind of solidify themselves.
And I know on your business card it says general manager, but are you more involved from the Billings Wolves?
Yeah, general manager, you know how it is in today's society. That's kind of the one trick pony that you can kind of put on that really means you do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And for the team, that's kind of how it is for me. Whether it's making the calls on marketing, sales, the direction of where we want to go, what kind of players we want to have here. I kind of do a little bit of everything in every regard regarding the team. So
you guys kicked it off good. I know we were involved, EFX Sports, this 2015 season, and I think you guys had a really good first year.
Yeah, couldn't be in the position we're in now without an EFX Sports coming on board, seeing the vision that we wanted to have in the community, and really getting that partnership solidified. And then on the field, those things happen. The wins, the losses come, but you got to measure a team over their body of work. And as the season played out, you could definitely tell that we had something here. The last 7 games we went 5-2. We have a rookie coach that's coming back. We had pretty much 13 out of 16 guys being rookies on the team. Yeah. They kind of all got to understand what this game is about, because for a lot of these guys, they came from 11-man football to 8-man.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you could see that, the maturity of the team as the season went on. But anyhow, it was fun, and we ended up, like you said, really good, 5-2. And Brian, you only got to come to one game, huh?
Yeah, actually, and that was a great time. I had a fantastic time with the game. That's what I love about it. It's just so fast-paced and keeps moving. I mean, nothing against the NFL, right? I mean, that's where everyone wants to be. But I tell you what, man, this is a very close second. I just love the speed. And, hey, we got to go to break, Mark. And when we get back, I was going to have you just expound a little more. You're talking about being the GM. Like, what does that job really entail? Like, what does it mean to be that guy? Because you're probably the go-to for every and anything that's good or bad, right? So when we get back, I'll have you pick up and just tell us a little more about what that is.
Hey everybody, I'm Billy Gordon. I'm one of the coaches for the Heights Wrestling Club. I just wanted to take a minute and talk to you about EFX Sports and what their products have done for me and my wrestlers and the athletes that I lead. 6 months ago, I got introduced to EFX Sports and I immediately started using them myself. The results have been nothing short of amazing. My body fat and weight have come down drastically. My strength has increased. If you get the opportunity, I highly recommend you give it a shot.
This is Dr. Jeff Golini of All American Pharmaceutical. I'm sure you've been seeing our national brand EFX Sports featuring Carbolin and Crealclin all around the state lately. Our supplements are formulated for pros to high schoolers to just the average gym goer and are all about improving your game. You can find EFX Sports in Billings at Yellowstone Fitness, Lucky's, Bonanza's Health Food, Granite Fitness, and GNC, just to mention a few.
Do you know how to properly use carbohydrates to ignite your performance in the field and in the gym? You will now, thanks to this free book by EFX Sports. The Carb User's Guide for Maximum Performance reveals why omitting carbohydrates from your diet can totally crush your gains. Ever wonder how many grams you need for your specific sport? Not anymore. We give you the critical number you need to dominate your competition. You'll even discover the super carb that's taking the athletic world by storm. You must try it to believe it. Go to getcarbolin.com/carb guide today and get your copy absolutely free. Once again, it's getkarbolin.com/CARBGUIDE.
Well, welcome back to EFX Sports Radio Show. We have a special guest, Mr. Marc Burr here, and we're talking with him about the Billings Wolves. And before we went to break, Brian said, hey, tell us what it's like being a GM of a professional football team. Is it all fun and games, or do you also have to deal with everything else?
Well, there's definitely the fun times to it, but it's it's a full-time job. It's up when the sun is up, down pretty much at midnight, and really for me as the GM, what you're looking at is you're making all the calls as far as what kind of media campaigns you want to run out there, what kind of radio advertisements you want going, the TV advertisement, and then also, your hand is in every single deal that you're making with a partner here in the community, or for some of our sponsors that are outside of the state of Montana. So it's really, you're doing a little bit of everything as far as, you're doing the marketing for the team, making sure that everybody in the community is aware of the guys, the schedule. You're also the guy who sets up the meetings for the guys. Last year we had right around 150 community appearances. I'm the one who's responsible to make sure that the guys make those appearances or either they have a really good reason why they didn't make it. So really when you are the GM, and especially when you're talking indoor football, arena football, not necessarily the NFL level, but at the indoor league level, you're not just looking at the players and deciding who gets to come to camp or who doesn't get an invite or what guy gets cut. You're looking at the organization and running it itself. So, you're making the calls on, is somebody worth bringing to town financially? Is this partnership viable for you and the partner? I mean, you're involved in every single little detail that goes into the season, from what color jersey you're going to wear on the game to what you're going to have sitting out when people first walk into the doors at Metro Park to see what EFX Sports Field looks like. I mean, you're the one designing
sponsors, right?
Yes. I mean, that's pretty much, how the day goes is, you're on the phone with all the sponsors, you're emailing the sponsors, and then you're out there, you're shaking hands. You're a politician. That's probably the best way to say it. You're a politician because, you're going to groups and giving speeches, you're sitting down with folks, you're really trying to understand what their business is about, and then also trying to sell the excitement and the fun of an indoor football game because, like you said, it's the second close to the NFL. I mean, there's nothing like the IFL, that 8-man, everybody's running as fast as possible and scoring touchdowns in 2 seconds. I mean, there's just nothing. We had 3 games this year. We scored on the first play of the game. I mean, when else are you going to ever see that?
You're not.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting. This is my first experience to indoor, and getting to know Commissioner Mike. The league is a great league. So, boy, the first year came and went. Thought it was good. What's up for 2016?
Well, 2016 brings some changes at the league level. We've adopted some rules that we feel will help stabilize the league and keep it moving forward. So you will see that some of the teams will lose a lot of their veteran players. No team in our league can have more than 7 vets on the team. And what that means is that if a guy has more than 3 years experience in the indoor leagues, he's considered a veteran player.
Wow.
So now the teams have to make the choice that of their 21 guys, only 7 of them can be veterans that have experience. So for a team like us, it doesn't affect us as much. Last year we had maybe 3 guys that were considered vets. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't affect us. But some of the other teams that had 15, 16, 17 veterans on their team, that's going to be a big blow for them because they're basically kind of starting over, rebuilding their roster, trying to blow it up as it was to kind of shape their future. And from there, we also adopted now that the league plays divisions. So for Billings, what that means is we're in the West Division. We play with not Sioux Falls. We play with Spokane and Tri-Cities. And, of course, the divisional winner gets the automatic playoff berth. So for us, there's a lot of excitement going into this 2016 season when, and it's nothing against our counterparts because, the IFL is a tough league, but, you got to have that hope that it's like, we got our coach returning. We pretty much have 13 guys that started or played for us last year coming back on top of all the new recruits we have. And then we have 2 teams in our division that the Spokane team is new to the IFL because they used to be in the AFL and they can't really bring those players with them. So they're looking for all new guys. Oh, yeah. Their coaching staff is new. The Tri-Cities, they don't have the same coaching staff anymore, and most likely they're not going to have the same players because usually, if a team loses a coach, guys kind of want to go where their old coach was, or they go, this isn't for me because I was only here because of this guy. So it's been an interesting offseason. So a lot of excitement for us.
I was curious about something. You said something about you can't have the veteran. So is the idea there that it kind of keeps somebody from stacking the deck and just being so dominant all the time that people just lose interest because they know that team is just almost unbeatable? What's the idea behind that?
It's not necessarily that you're trying to prevent a team from stacking the deck. What we're more or less looking at is that when a guy comes to our league, usually they're fresh out of some NFL camp or maybe they played in Canada. They've done something else and they just couldn't make that next level. So then we're trying to say is that, if it's been 3 years, the likelihood of you getting called back up starts to kind of go down. And the longer you play in our league, the more those chances go down. And like any other minor league, we want our guys to go up. And by instituting this vet rule, we're making sure now that all teams are recruiting new guys that are still pursuing that dream and have a shot at that dream. Not to say that some of our guys who have played 8 or 9 years don't have a chance to go play for the Redskins or some other team, but the odds become a little less likely for you. You've played 8 years in the indoor leagues. You've been out of school now 10 years. You're probably not going to get a call from, Seattle or anybody of that nature. So we're hoping that, if we curve some of our rosters that, if only 7 of them or a third of the roster is only made up of these vet guys, that means we got 14 other guys that are kind of new blood and fresh, maybe one of those guys does get the call up. Maybe now we find some guys out there that were like, hey, I didn't really want to play for your team because I looked at the roster and you had 21 guys that were vets. I mean, was you really going to play me? So hopefully that's what happens there.
Sure.
As far as trying to, stop a team from being dominant or prevent a monopoly of any sort, that never really comes into the equation, or at least not for me. Football's football. You put your cleats on, you play. But, when you are a minor league sport, you do have to look at that. A lot of people forget that Fred Jackson that plays for the Seattle Seahawks right now, he came out of the IFL. He played in Sioux City.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where he got his start from, and that's the kind of stuff that we want to see happen. So.
I think that's what the IFL really promotes, is giving guys that second chance, a little more exposure. And I know the NFL does. They're looking at the IFL because, was it last year 3 or 4 players went up, I think?
Yep, last year there was at least a handful of guys, being 5 that I know for sure, that got a call up. We had a wide receiver that got a workout with the Indianapolis Colts this summer. It didn't lead to a contract, but he did get his shot.
Yeah.
He got to work out for him and show what he had. So that's always positive for your league. So.
And this year, Carbelin's going to be on the sidelines again for the guys?
Oh, we got to have the Carbolin. We got to look at the season and say, as the season wore on, we got stronger while our opponents seemed to kind of phase off a little bit. So
the secret.
I got to say that it's the Carbolin.
Yeah, baby.
We had the Carbolin on the sideline and they didn't, and we started winning. So that's what I'm going to. And how us football players are, we're superstitious. So I'm not changing that up at all.
That's a good superstition right there, man.
And in the beginning, like anything, the guys were a little skeptical. They didn't know much, and the more that we got to know them and they started getting on things, again, I always tell teams that, out of that pie, 50% is your God-given talent and your coach. The other 50% is nutrition and supplements. So, as they continued to grow, you could definitely see we were outlasting people. So we got some tricks we're gonna throw to the Wolves this year. Sorry, other teams, but you know what? That's just the way it rolls here.
Yeah, because, definitely you could tell with our linemen. That was the key to it for us. All the skill guys are going to always be able to run up and down the field, but our linemen, they did not tire out during the games, and that's what we needed.
That's awesome.
Well, Mark, I'm looking at the clock here. Looks like we're just about out of time. Man, thanks so much for coming in. You can just tell you got a huge passion for this. We learned today that it's not just, being a GM doesn't mean just being a baller and flying on private jets everywhere. You got to go out there and Shoe Leather Express, right? You got to make it happen.
Oh yeah, got to hit the doors.
There you go. All right, well, hey, we're looking forward to an awesome season coming up. Obviously, guys using EFX Sports products, especially that Carbolin, man, we know that's the secret sauce right there. So, hey, we'll catch everybody next time. We appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to ESPN EFX Sports Radio. Be sure to check out EFX Sports online at aaefx.com. And don't forget to check out EFX Sports supplements everywhere fitness products are sold.